Hey guys, welcome back. I've got six more Am I the Asshole stories for you today. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. This first one is called Am I the Asshole for humiliating my ex's new girlfriend in front of our friend group? Posting from my inactive account because I have some friends lurking in my main one. I, 22 female, broke up with my boyfriend, 24 male, around 8 months ago. We decided to mutually call it quits and parted in pretty good terms, which is good, because we just so happened to share a friend group. After a rough patch, I decided to start taking a bit more care of myself, eating better, going to the gym, going to therapy. The shift was pretty evident, both in my attitude and the way I look. My friends said I look much happier and healthier, and I began gaining confidence little by little. Now, I'm a huge nerd. I play D&D weekly, I have thousands of hours in Stellaris, and most relevant to the story, I like to cosplay as a hobby. Most of my old cosplay involved characters that don't show their face or body too much. Hornet from Hollow Knight, Mono from Little Nightmares, etc. But since I'd been feeling more confident, I decided that for the big con in my city, I'd like to try something different. A friend convinced me of going as Viper and Chamber from Valorant, so for the past 6 months, we've been pouring most of our time into the cosplays. 3 weeks ago, I sent a picture of me wearing the cosplay to the group chat, asking for feedback for the final details. My ex immediately DM'd me, asking me to please not wear that cosplay to the con because it might make his new girlfriend uncomfortable. I asked what about it would make her uncomfortable, but he refused to elaborate. I knew he was dating someone new, but I didn't know she was coming with us to the con. I tried to explain to him this was the work of months and I couldn't just throw it all away, just because a girl I'd never met felt uncomfortable about it. In the end, I wore it to the con and it was a huge success. I tried to keep my distance from the larger chunk of our group because my ex and his new girl were there with them, but we did spend a good part of the day with them. Throughout the whole thing, the new girl kept making snide comments at me and laughing whenever I got asked to pose for pictures. Everyone looked uncomfortable, but nobody said anything. After leaving the con to have dinner though, another friend asked the new girl if she wouldn't like to try cosplay as well. Her answer was, "Why would I need more attention from guys? I already have a boyfriend. I'm not a slut." I snapped and told her to stop acting like a pick-me bitch just because I got attention all day. She started to cry immediately. My ex steps in, asking me to apologise. I tell him I'll only do it if she apologises for the way she's been acting around me all day. More and more of our friends start to join the screaming match, and it gets so bad we end up getting kicked out of the restaurant. It's been 5 days, and my ex is threatening to leave the friend group if I don't apologise. I honestly wouldn't care if he did, but some of our friends are asking me to do so to stop him from leaving. Should I cave? Am I the asshole? Boy oh boy, some people are just fucking plain old rude. No, you're not the asshole, and frankly, you should just put it blankly to them. Something like, I'll apologise if your girlfriend apologises for implying that we're sluts, meaning the people cosplaying. It's short, sweet, to the point, and it throws it right back in that hypocrite's face. So, just middle fingers, you know what I mean? But yeah, let's move on from this one. This next one is called Am I the Asshole for Not Going to My Twin's Wedding? I, 24 male, have an identical twin. We're not close, but I thought we had basic mutual respect. That belief was tested. I grew up in a traditional southern town and only began coming out in college about 5 years ago. It's been slow, especially with family. But since moving to DC in 23 for school and work, I felt more comfortable living authentically. After moving, I met my boyfriend, 26 male, and we've been together for 2 years. Over time, I've introduced him to friends and family when he felt safe. Cut to November 24. I was home for the holidays and told my twin and his fiancée about my boyfriend. They seemed happy for me. While staying with them, wedding details arose, and they asked if I'd be bringing a date. I said yes, my boyfriend. My twin had gone to bed, but his fiancée said, "While there are pros and cons, it's up to you if you want to bring him." That felt like a green light. My twin constantly deferred to her on decisions, so I didn't think I needed to double check. 5 months passed. My boyfriend and I had spent $1,300 in total on travel, flights, hotel, etc. 3 weeks before the wedding, I mentioned on a call with my brother that we were all set. His tone shifted. "Oh, is the boyfriend actually coming?" I reminded him of the convo with his fiancée. He said she never gave me permission and accused me of making it up. Then said, "We can't allow your boyfriend to come. We worry how Dad's side will react." I offered to call Dad on the spot. He dodged, saying he'd check with his fiancée, despite just saying it was his decision. An hour later, and no change. I was still invited, alone. Still expected to buy a groomsman match suiting, even though I wasn't in the party, and show up smiling. That's when I snapped. I asked, "If I didn't invite your fiancé to my wedding, would you still come?" He couldn't answer, and ended the call after some harsh words. Trying to make things right, I came out to my dad, which I feared for years, to explain the situation. He was surprisingly indifferent and even said uninviting my boyfriend was extreme. He offered to talk to extended family. I thought I was removing the main obstacle. Weeks later, my twin called again. He now claimed our friends would be weirded out, so the excuse shifted. I said, "If my boyfriend's not invited, I'm not coming." He did not budge. Here's the kicker. Days later, my dad told me the fiancée admitted she did give me permission but changed her mind when she remembered who would be there. She denied this to my twin. Also, one of her bridesmaids is openly gay and brought her girlfriend, but according to the fiancé, she's not part of the family, so it's different. So I didn't go. I'm still wondering if I made the right call. My absence was noted. I got texts asking where I was. My mum had already explained it repeatedly, so instead of avoiding attention, my absence became the story. My relationship with my twin is dead, and some family ties now feel fragile. Part of me wonders, should I have sucked it up and gone solo, just to preserve bonds that shaped my early life? So, am I the arsehole for skipping the wedding? This is another one of those clear-cut cases, not the arsehole. The arsehole is your twin and his fiancée. Because, I mean, even if someone there had an issue with someone being gay, so what? Suck it up. It's one day. And the fact that someone else there is already openly gay, but it's not a problem because they're not family, yeah, get in the bin, mate. Fuck off. But yeah, the fact that you're not even in like the actual party to be groomsmaid, bridesmaid, yada yada yada, which just shows the relationship was gone way before this. So just sack them off. Not worth it. Get in the bin. So yeah, let's move swiftly on to this third one, which is, am I the arsehole for putting my hand over my sister-in-law's camera at my own birthday dinner after I told her no filming? I, 29 female, had a small birthday dinner last weekend with my husband, 31 male, sister-in-law Lena, 27 female, mother-in-law, and 2 friends at a normal but nice place. Lena's an influencer, so she films literally everything. Plates, forks, people, breathing. 3 days before, I wrote in the family chat, "Please don't film me. Food, room is fine, just not my face." She said, "I got you." We sit down and within like 10 minutes, her phone is up. I say, quiet, please don't point it at me. She goes, you look great, it's just vibes. Husband backs me, she said no. Lena rolls her eyes and lowers it for maybe 2 minutes. Then the cake comes, little sparkler, staff singing. Lena stands and points the camera right in my face, like, birthday girl reveal. I put my hand over the lens and said, stop. I didn't grab the phone or touch her, just covered the camera. For a second. She snaps that I ruined her shot, and that this is her job. Mother-in-law says to let it go for one night. I said that it's my night actually. It got awkward fast. Server was right there. I felt embarrassed. Husband tried to change the subject, but Lena kept muttering about how she had to scrap everything. I even paid for my own dessert, which is a long story, and we left pretty quick. Next morning, Lena texts that I humiliated her and made her look unprofessional in front of everybody. Mother-in-law says I should have moved seats if I didn't want to be in frame. Husband says my boundary is fair, but maybe I made a scene by doing it during the song when eyes were already on me. She's posted me before without asking, and co-workers mentioned it. I've asked her to blur/remove, and it turns into drama, which is why I set the boundary in writing before the dinner. Why I might be the arsehole. Public place. I did physically block her shot, and yes, it was during the song. I could have stood up and turned away or something, but also, I don't want to be online against my will, especially on my own birthday. I don't know. Am I the arsehole? No. First of all, you asked well in advance for someone to respect a simple boundary. Not asking much. And the fact that she wants to say it's her job, did you get asked to do this? No. Did the birthday person ask you to record? No, she specifically asked you not to. So, yeah, you're just an entitled little brat who didn't get her own way. And influencer probably isn't your job. You're probably unemployed. So, fuck off, mate. Yeah, I got a bit carried away with that one, but let's move on. This next one, yet another Am I the Arsehole story, is called Am I the Arsehole for not telling my parents I was hospitalised for a week to prove a point? I live in another city while my parents, both in their late 50s, still live in my hometown. We actually have a really good relationship overall. I usually fly home every Christmas. We talk often and there's no major family drama. But there's one thing about them that has driven me and everyone else in our family insane for years. They are completely careless with their phones. They'll leave their phones in another room all day, leave them on silent by accident, or forget to charge them so the battery dies for an entire day. Sometimes I'll call 5 or 6 times before someone finally answers hours later. I talk to them about it many times because they don't have a landline, so their cell phones are literally the only reliable way to reach them. Yes, I understand they come from an older generation and aren't exactly tech savvy. They didn't grow up attached to phones the way younger people did, but they're not that old. And I still feel like if your cell phone is your only form of communication, you should at least keep it charged and within hearing distance. I've told them things like, what if there's an emergency? Or what if someone urgently needs to contact you? They always brush it off and act like I'm overreacting. Last month, I got severe food poisoning and ended up hospitalised for a week. It wasn't life-threatening, but I was pretty miserable. While I was in the hospital, I tried calling both of them multiple times over 2 days. No answer. One phone was dead. The other apparently was left somewhere in the house. At that point, I got frustrated and honestly just gave up trying. Now, to be fair, I could have contacted my aunt, who lives near them, and she absolutely would have told them. But after years of the same issue, I decided not to. Part of me thought, maybe this is the only way they'll finally understand why people keep their phones accessible. Yesterday I was talking to my mum on the phone and casually mentioned, oh yeah, last month I was hospitalised for food poisoning for about a week. She completely freaked out and got really angry that I never told them. I explained that I did try to contact them repeatedly, but they didn't answer. She said I should still have called my aunt because this was an emergency. I admitted that I could have done that, but I intentionally didn't because I wanted them to finally realise how irresponsible they are with their phones. That made her even angrier. She said I used my hospitalisation to prove a point and scared them unnecessarily. My dad thinks we're both being stubborn. I honestly didn't think it was that huge of a deal since I recovered fine and it wasn't life-threatening. But now I'm wondering if I took the lesson too far. Am I the asshole? I mean, you're not an asshole per se. It's one of them situations in it where they're more being stubborn than anything, which I can understand 100%. And some people are just stuck in their ways, aren't they? Like, I understand both sides of the frustration. It's not particularly an asshole thing. Yeah, you should have told them. Yeah, you should have told your aunt so they could tell them. But end of the day, it's to put it simply, it's just complacency, isn't it? They don't want to learn or get used to something new because they're set in their ways. It's human nature, but you got to adapt. So, yeah, I'd say they should really come round and actually at least use the phone more often or keep it close to them. But it's not the end of the world. So, yeah, we'll leave that one there. This next one. Am I the asshole for refusing to help with my nieces until my brother and sister-in-law take my younger niece to a doctor? I have two nieces. Eloise is 7 and Harper is 5. I work from home and have the most flexible schedule, so I handle school pickup for the girls. I'm the first point of contact for the school, and I've been chaperoning on field trips lately. Eloise was diagnosed with anxiety, and her mum claims she has severe ADHD, which hasn't been diagnosed. Eloise is a completely normal 7-year-old. Harper, on the other hand, actually has some type of severe attention disorder and possibly a stomach issue. I am called to pick her up at least once a week because of diarrhea. She wears pull-ups at school due to frequent poop accidents. Her classroom has 21 students and 3 teachers, and one of those teachers has been unofficially assigned to be Harper's one-to-one because she constantly wanders off. She doesn't respond when you call her. She's oblivious to everything around her. She doesn't share. She will move through groups of people almost without realizing they're there. She can't sit at a circle time long enough for her teachers to read a story, even when they give her toys to play with. Her school's development specialist has come in to observe her and try to get her to participate with the rest of the class, or even just sit down long enough to eat her snack or lunch, with no success. Despite all of this, Harper is reading at a 2nd grade level and doing math at a 1st grade level. Harper has been kicked out of 2 preschools because they can't handle her, and even this current school that has assigned her a one-to-one has a developmental specialist, psychologist, and an OT on staff, is starting to say that this might not be the best environment for Harper. Harper is the same way at home. She forgets to drink water, she doesn't think to eat until you put food in front of her. Every exterior door and window has child locks and has an alarm because of her tendency to wander off. The majority of my cabinets have multiple child locks because she's figured out how to get through them. She wears a leash in public because of the number of times her parents and I have lost her in stores. Last week was the straw that broke the camel's back. Harper was sent home from school for repeated attempts to climb the fence and for running away during circle time, and getting into the art supplies that were set aside for later. And at my house, her tummy was bothering her, so she wanted to be held all the time, meaning I couldn't work until she was picked up. When my brother came to pick up the girls, I told him I couldn't do this anymore, and that I will not take care of the girls or do anything for school until Harper sees a doctor for all of her issues. My brother still insists that Harper is fine and that me refusing to help with no notice is screwing him over. I refuse to budge, and now I have family saying it's not my place to demand that he takes her to a doctor. Wow. Mini update. I picked the girls up yesterday so I could explain what was going to happen and that it was not their fault, and spoke to their schools about not contacting me unless it's an emergency and they can't get a hold of their parents. Not the arsehole. To be honest, it sounds like negligence, and it sounds like if they're not going to get their shit in order, a call to CPS, Child Protective Services, would be in order. I mean, I know it's not where you want to go to, but if they're not going to help the child that clearly needs help with a lot of issues, then yeah, it's negligence. So, especially with all the training staff that the school have that are all very, very qualified professionals, and they're saying it's not the right environment, yes, something needs to change. But yeah, that's that one. And this last one is absolutely huge. So buckle up, get your snacks, and listen along. Am I the asshole for telling my friend I'm proud of her? I, 25 female, have my own 2-bedroom apartment that used to belong to my uncle. I made a friend during my uni years I'll call Mary, 27 female. Mary had quite a hard home life. Too long to detail here. I let her know that if she ever needed my help, she could always rely on me no matter what. When we graduated, I asked her to move in with me, rent-free. She tried to pay, but I knew she had a lot of debt trying to pay for uni, so I told her no, and to spend her money freeing herself from it. She was so thankful for this, and I loved having her live with me. We never fought about anything. Both of us have the same cleaning habits and TV interests, so there's never any arguments over the remote or who has to take out the bins, etc. Tonight, we were out at a super fancy restaurant in London as Mary had finally paid off the last of her debt, secured herself an amazing promotion at her job, and also finally passed her driving test. All these achievements in the same month were more than deserving of an award. So we splashed out. It was me, Mary, 4 of her work friends, and 2 friends we've known since uni. It was a great night until I handed Mary a card saying how amazing she is and how lucky I am to have her as my best friend. With quite a bit of cash inside to put towards her first car, she started crying and thanking me, and we hugged for a long time. When she pulled away, I told her I was so proud of her for kicking life in the butt, becoming successful and showing her dad that his dickhead ways couldn't keep her down. After how she'd struggled through uni, pushing pennies together and working shit jobs, seeing her in her dream career and being such an accomplished woman is absolutely inspiring to me. She looked mad and said, "Please don't do that. You know I don't like it when you do that." She'd never said anything like this to me. Ever. So I have no idea where this was coming from. I apologised and said that I didn't realise saying these things would upset her, as it's never been my intention. She just scoffed and rolled her eyes, and when I looked up at her colleagues, they were all shaking their heads at me and glaring. I felt so awkward I wanted to shrink back into my own skin, and I was mortified that I hurt Mary. Mary didn't talk to me for the rest of the night and ignored me at the table. When we split up to head home, none of her colleagues even looked at me as they left. I said sorry to Mary as she was heading to her room to turn in, but she just shrugged me off, told me she was tired, and that we'll talk in the morning. I'm so anxious that she'll want to move out or never talk to me again. I keep going over every interaction in my head to see if I crossed a line in the past, but she never gave any indication that I upset her saying these things before. All her colleagues messaged me saying I was an asshole for saying those things to her and belittling her, but I never ever meant any of those things like that. Update. Same day. I didn't know how to update anything as I've never posted before, so when things happened, I wrote them down in Notepad to update later, but all this stuff happened in the space of one day. I'm posting them all below because I didn't get the chance to write them up after everything happened, as my post didn't have a judgment yet. I saw a lot of mixed reactions to my post, but there was also some great advice in there about how to approach Mary, so thank you for that. I'm afraid all that well-meaning advice turned out to be for nothing, so I'm sorry about that. Things are timestamped roughly to show how the day unfolded. Update 1, 6:30 a.m. So I'm even more confused than ever right now. After staying up all night and being constantly on the verge of tears, I finally heard my roommate moving around the kitchen, so I went to talk to her. She acted totally normal and started talking to me about some drama at her work while I just stood there, kind of unsure what was happening or what to do, so I apologised again. She looked up at me in confusion and said, "Why are you sorry?" I reminded her of last night and how mad she was. Then she laughed and said, "It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it." And then continued making breakfast. I asked if I'd stepped over a line last night, if the money was too much, or if I made her feel inferior, and she said, "Nope, we're cool. It doesn't matter. I think everyone just misunderstood the situation, and you're taking things to heart a little too much." I just am even more confused than ever. I told her about my friends texting me, telling me that what I said was belittling and that I was an asshole, and she just shrugged and said they probably misread things and she'll talk to them. But I'm just so winded. I'm so tired because I haven't slept because I thought she hated me, that I'd hurt her and she'd never speak to me again. But she's fine. Like she's completely normal and just chatting with me, as if last night never happened. But I'm just so confused. After seeing so many "you're the arsehole" comments, I thought I'd really crossed the line this time. But she's not fazed at all. She seemed too upset, ignored me for the rest of the night, and her co-workers treated me like a criminal. But everything's okay, I guess. I don't know anymore. I'm tired and I'm going to sleep. But things still seem unresolved to me. I'm going to talk to her about it when she comes back from work today, because her reaction still really bothers me. Update 2, 10 a.m. I got a call from one of the uni friends who was at the dinner last night, and we had a chat. She asked me if everything was okay between me and Mary, as she said she'd never seen Mary snap at me like that until last night. I filled her in on everything that we'd talked about and how confused I was as well. She reaffirmed many of my feelings about this being very out of character for Mary, as she had also congratulated Mary and said similar things, as well as given her a bit of money and a card, along with an expensive gift, as did many of the others. After talking to my friend, I've decided that I need to have a long sit down with Mary to clear things up, and it's not only me who's confused by her behaviour. Both the uni friends are coming round later to have a chat, since now we're honestly quite concerned about her. Her friends have no let up on their text to me, so I don't think she's spoken to them. One said I couldn't try and sweep this under the carpet, which is like, what? I'm thinking of blocking all of them, as they just won't leave me alone. Update 3, 4 pm. This is not an update I expected to make. Not in a million years. Shit really hit the fan and went sideways in a way I never imagined. I'm confused, heartbroken, and really pissed off now. So long story short, it's all a fucking lie. One Redditor said to me that my friends might have said something to Mary's colleagues about me that made them not like me. I talked to both of them, and when they came round in the afternoon, they both denied any of that. The one I had spoken to earlier on the phone we'll call Claire. She said she'd call one of the work colleagues that she knows slightly well in order to clear things up. Let's call the colleague Jane. Jane turned up at the flat and instantly looked pissed. I almost wanted to hide behind the kitchen counter when she came in, glaring daggers at me. We all sat down, and I let Jane know that I'd spoken to Mary about last night and that she was fine, but I was still confused. Jane then laughed and said, "Oh, don't try that shit with me. You can't just pretend now that you've not been exposed in public." The three of us looked at her without saying a word, as we were all confused now. Claire asked her what she meant, and Jane said that she knew how I really treated Mary. We both asked her to elaborate, and she stood up and went on this tirade about how I apparently regularly abuse and belittle Mary, then intimidate her into saying nothing about it and put on a smile for others. I wasn't sure whether to laugh or cry at this point. She then showed me her text with Mary, where Mary wrote to her in distress about being locked in her room because I was having a meltdown about her making friends at work. Something that just never happened. Claire and my other friend took the phone and looked through the messages as well, and I had to stop reading them, as they all said stuff about how Mary was afraid of me and that I'd trapped her here and was extorting rent out of her. It all just leaves me numb and dead inside. Eventually, Claire got to a point where Mary said I'd cancelled her 21st birthday at uni and told her she wasn't allowed to go out. The thing is, Claire and my other friend were at Mary's 21st birthday, which I'd put over £500 towards to have a themed Great Gatsby night she'd always wanted. Which in the messages, she was claiming never happened. We went over a lot of the stuff in the messages and realised that Mary had been spreading lies about me to all of her colleagues about how I was abusive and she couldn't move out because I was charging her so much rent money. This absolutely shattered me. Mary was like a sister to me through our uni years, and I can't fathom why she'd say any of these things. It took a long time, but after Claire and my friends went over all of the accusations with Jane, and I pulled up my bank details to show that Mary never makes a single payment to me except for her half of the bills, she seemed to cool down and settled into the same confusion we were all feeling. She let us know that Mary told all of her colleagues this story and that the reason they were mad at me is because Mary said I like to use a manipulation tactic where I pretend I support her through everything but use her past against her whenever we're in private. They all thought that's what I had been doing last night, that everything I said was meant as a backhanded compliment. Honestly, I'm just so about everything. I can't even put into words the hurt and betrayal I feel that she'd spread these lies about me. For what reason? What benefit? I could never lift a finger to hurt her. but she tells everyone at her work that I isolate her from the world. Claire had to calm me down as I couldn't stop crying no matter what I did for ages. It was quite embarrassing, but I just couldn't do anything else. Now I'm a little more level-headed, still mad, but not crying anymore. I don't even want to look at Mary again. My friends have told me to not make hasty decisions. Even Claire said she was disgusted by the things Mary was saying about me in the texts when everyone knows them not to be true. I know that I probably won't be able to clear my name with her colleagues, but I don't really care about that. I just want to know why Mary said those things about me. Jane went quiet by the end of our discussion and left without saying much, so I don't know what that means for me in her eyes. My two friends are staying with me for the rest of the day until Mary comes home. We've all got a lot of questions for her to answer. Final update, 10:15 p.m. I've booted Mary out of the flat. She threw away years of friendship for sympathy points with her colleagues, and I still cannot understand why. When she got home and saw the three of us watching television, she got excited and said she'd make popcorn. But Claire took the lead and told her to sit down. She looked confused, but complied. Claire led everything. I didn't really know what to say to Mary at all and could barely make eye contact with her. Claire told her that Jane had been round and yelled at me for being an abuser and a bully and asked her why she'd say those things. Mary acted confused and said that it must all just be a miscommunication, that Jane just twists things sometimes and she must have misunderstood stuff she'd said. Then Claire asked about the text messages and started mentioning each and every event that Mary had cried to Jane about me being an awful person. Jane went quiet and then tried to say it was a work joke, but Claire wasn't having any of it. She pushed harder about all of this and eventually Mary broke. She started crying and telling us that she never meant any of it, that it was a stupid thing and it shouldn't matter, that she loved me with everything she had, and it was just a stupid story that went too far. She started begging me for forgiveness, but I was just so tired and still am. I looked her in her eyes for the first time and told her she had a week to find a place and move out. Then she started really bawling her eyes out and begging me to let her stay, that she didn't think it would matter because I don't work with them, but I told her I was not having that kind of bullshit in my life. I then said, "So, do you just make up lies about everyone in your life? Is any of it real?" She went really quiet, dead silent at that point. I didn't want to believe it, but the way she was looking at me and the lies she'd made up about me abusing her had me questioning everything she'd ever told me when we were at uni together. About her dad beating her mum, about her being homeless from 16 until they divorced. I then told her to get her mum on the phone and she panicked and begged me not to. Claire then realised where I was going with this and asked her if everything we'd ever been told about her dad had been true, and she cracked and said she may have embellished a few things. I am so fucking fuming at this point. Who the fuck makes up this kind of twisted shit? For what benefit? I can't even write everything that was said, as it just resorted into a screaming match between all four of us as we learned that Mary's tragic life story had been nothing but a concoction to gain sympathy from others. Her parents are divorced, but there was no abuse involved. They just fell out of love and split. I had to learn this by calling her mother myself later on to get clarity. I'd never said a word to her mum about anything in the past because Mary had warned me against it. She said I could always be open with her about everything as she wasn't ashamed, but her mum was sensitive and didn't want to talk about it. So it turns out My best friend is a master manipulator and probably always has been. I am so tired and exhausted of this whole nightmare. This will be my last update as I'm done. I came here seeking help and advice to find a way to mend a mistake I'd made with a trusted friend. But it turns out that the last 7 years have been built on a lie. I'm fucking done. With Mary, with everything. I don't want to see her again. I know she can afford her own place, so I don't feel bad about kicking her out. I don't care what she does now. I just know that I don't want her around anymore. I think I'm going to book myself some therapy sessions after all of this shit. It's not a happy update, but it's the only conclusion I've got. Thank you to everyone for all the advice you've given me over the many updates. I appreciate all of it. I'm sorry it's not cheerful, but just hope I can move on from all of this. Wow. I did not see that ending coming. That was absolutely crazy. I mean, that's manipulation on another level. Like, how do you even curate such a story and slag off someone that's basically carried you through all of your fucking teens and early 20s through uni? What the? But yeah, that's all that's all I've got for you today. If you liked it, obviously like the video and stick around. I will keep posting more. And obviously I have tried this face cam, so let me know what you think. If you want it gone, if you want it kept, I don't know. We'll see. I'm just having fun. But yeah, I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.